right, here we go. Oh man, what a day it is. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back, as per usual, to more CS news, and this one is going to be a good one. You might want to get your comment books out, maybe leave a comment down below, because this was the juice over this past weekend. I wanted to use Monday to break down the actual event, the grand finals, and we did it, and that was a great time. Furia versus Mongols in terms of best of fives was one of the best deliveries of the entire year for a CS series, and we broke that down yesterday. It was fantastic. Asian CS is still well and alive. Mongols continue their, little streak with grand finals, and they can still win one. And Furia, well, Brazil is back for the first time in what feels like years on top, lifting trophies. But the real talk of the town throughout this weekend, alongside that, was some Falcons drama. Allegations of the Falcons cheating, one player in particular, that being Kyxsan we are talking about, and the crowd drama. What we see every other event is the freaking crowd drama. And if you guys watch this event, I will make note, this crowd was angsty. They were really loving to give some plays away with the good old X-ray. Now, typically when we see this at CS events, or at least how I've seen it at events every now and again, is if the crowd is too rowdy and they're giving away positions and making too much noise, they will disable X-ray in the arena or in the stadium, so you can no longer do that. It's a great way to defeat the in-house ability to actually cheat for some of these teams out there. It does take away from the viewer experience, so ultimately it's up to the crowds of choosing not to do this so we can enjoy X-ray, because I'll say it, watching CS with X-ray, it is a lot more enjoyable. But this crowd had a lot of moments I shared with you guys yesterday. It was not just this Falcons series versus Furia. It was multiple series, multiple times. You dang crowd over there.
So scary. The flashes coming over the wall are devastating. If they get blitzed though, they could focus on something else. A minute on the clock here. Kyxsan waiting for the smoke to fade, but there we go, pushing in for the L-bend. It's a pretty good trade.
But one in particular was Falcons versus Furia and Kyxsan, and this was a clear-cut clip. I'm going to be honest. My first response was Kyxsan. How are you in the position you're in? Not just being Kyxsan, one of the rising IGLs out there, but more importantly, being a part of Falcons, already one of the most hated and berated organizations and teams in Counter-Strike because of how much they spent and the iterations of this roster. Anything you do is going to be at sometimes overanalyzed and looked at. You got to know better than this, bro. Like, you are an IGL for a reason. You are a smart lad. You got to know better than to do this and not expect some form of backlash from people who are like, wait a second, what are you doing?
Крауд чид орж ирээд байгаа. Наа чи хүн байна гэдэг. Наа. Фикс нэр. Читийг слаймер ашиглаж шүү.
Because even if you gather that information and don't, shoot off of it, you're still gathering information. And even if you are playing into a bit of a bait, I don't know how useful said information is on a pro level. There's something there. Like, you are receiving some sort of information that you shouldn't have access to. And it is technically cheating. I'm not going to come out and say this is the biggest form of cheating ever. And obviously, we have seen this in other events. We have seen this from other players. We have seen this from other teams. But with an example that is so blatant, I gotta call it what it is. It's you can't do this and not expect a bit of backlash. It was very dumb for Kyxsan to do this. And now the real question, judged by the audience and the community after seeing such a blatant example, they're asking, should there be a punishment for players who try and bait reactions out of the crowd to gather information? And I don't know. I don't know if we've ever seen a precedent like this before, where the TO or, the tournament can step in and say, hey, we're going to penalize you a round, or we're going to DQ you off the map. I don't know how that works, because obviously when it comes to the crowd themselves, sometimes there is punishment. Sometimes people are thrown out of the crowd for giving away bomb sites and defuses, so on and so forth, which rightfully so, you should be. Like, a crowd should not be holding up signs. We've seen this before. They'll hold up signs, A or B, to let teams know, and the punishment goes to the crowd. Should there be a punishment for players? And we also have people like Messioso giving their 2 cents on this, and the audacity of a player to do this so blatantly. And yeah, I mean, again, we have seen this in the past. this was just a very clear-cut example. And of course, such a big team like Falcons, they go on to lose not only the exchange in the clip, they lose the map in that clip, and they lose the series later on to a team who eventually wins the overall tournament. It's a bad look for sure, but I think I want to focus on not necessarily Kyxsan doing it. I'm sure he regrets doing it now, but should this be a punishable offense in the future for CS? Maybe. I would love to see a light. I don't know how you could actually implement said punishment. So what do you guys think? Very curious. Falcons have now been accused of cheating. Should there be punishment? Will there be punishment going forward? That is the question. What do y'all think? That was the juice from this weekend. You guys already know. There's no XP waste around here. That leads me, guys, to the story I really wanted to talk about today. It's all around S1mple in Tier 2 CS. ESL Challengers is ongoing. I think it's like a Season 2 Cup. Winner qualifies to the European Finals, I believe. So it's been the height of Tier 2 CS for a variety of reasons. I'll probably dive into this in a future video. We have ESC Gaming or Escape Gaming, whatever you want to refer to them as. They're being accused of using radar hacks. Of course, we have the typical match fixing stuff all going on, but then you add on to the drama of Tier 2 CS. It's the fact that S1mple has been frying and 1v9ing for his team at BC Game for some time now, which we have been covering, but now it's like these are some semi-decent games. We're actually seeing some headlines around. We're seeing a lot more people viewing them and watch partying them. It's been so freaking fun, and including which, and what adds on to that is S1mple then tweets out, "Hey guys, I'm a bit bored of my recent CS matches. I just want some more top tier teams to come and humble me." I love it. You know, anyone else besides S1mple, you might call him out for arrogance and overconfidence, but it's just so funny because he's currently residing in Tier 2 CS, and he's trying to appeal to maybe make a major, maybe play against more Tier 1 teams, maybe be humbled by Tier 1 teams, and within hours of tweeting that, he was humbled by Alliance. And there was a lot of jokes, and that's the great part about this scene and it being a lower tier. It doesn't matter what tier S1mple tweets stuff like that in, because when he does, it allows an opportunity for another org or team and players to engage with him, and it draws a lot of community fuzz buzz. That's not a word, but everyone is then talking about it, and I'm sure he can take a defeat. You know, BC Game have lost games before. They've definitely been on a bit of a streak of him having very high ratings and playing very well. Instantly after tweeting that, he then gets humbled. What does he do at the point of me recording? They have now won their way back over ESC Gaming, who somehow beat Big Clan, which has been the very suspicious match going around for alleged radar hacks. I haven't looked into it fully, but it is odd to see it. Obviously, it's Big Clan, so those guys have been stagnant beyond belief. I can't deny that, okay? I'm sorry, German CS. But even then, to see a team like Big lose to ESC Gaming, it does make you wonder. It makes you curious if something was awry. And that's the unfortunate part of Tier 2 CS, because you have those suspicions, because you know those things have been ongoing, because they take down Big and they totally flub against BC Game and S1mple. He had a 4K, some amazing clips, and they will now rematch against Alliance for the finals of this ESL Challengers Cup. So it's really set to be a great storyline.
Just somewhere, but maybe this is the way to go. Olymp with a double kill, and suddenly, options are open.
They are, but again, they're only going to head A off the back of this. Smoke comes out, which means that they're at least going to have to pause, or maybe they just want to run on through it. The Flash isn't going to find S1mple. He's going to find another pick, but he's backed into a very tight corner here. Molotov at his feet. He's not going to be able to escape, but he's just shooting fish in the barrel, but the fish has got a gun of its own and is shooting back. Can hear all of these footsteps. And somebody's nearby. Oh, the no-scope is so good. And now Bajmi, the last left alive, finds one pick.
But the main thing I wanted to focus on is we have S1mple active again. He's active on socials. He is extremely active on CS. He is now publicly stating he wants to be humbled. He's also publicly pretty much accusing said teams who took down Big, that being ESC, of radar hacking. And I'm just thinking, okay, this all kind of sucks, but it also is so great because Tier 2 CS is the most watched it's probably ever been because of this guy. And now I'm really excited for a 10 a.m. matchup for ESL Challengers, which I've never probably watched before in my entire life. S1mple is back. Falcons are in the drama. We have so many teams capable of winning Counter-Strike titles right now. I told you guys yesterday in that video, and I put it in the description. Sometimes I put there how I feel. Sometimes I just say stay caffeinated. But we are truly in my opinion, in such a prime time for watching Counter-Strike. And I know I can say that quite a bit. I do a CS news channel, but it has been so fun to watch CS lately. The first half of this year was Vitality win streak. It was still cool to watch. But ever since that win streak has been broken and we've had a variety of teams win titles from regions that have not won titles, if not ever, in at least multiple years, you know, that being Asia, that being Brazil, and then North America still sucks, it's been awesome, you know? Hopefully I made someone smirk with those North American comments because I'm still sad. I will not stop mentioning it, all right? We're going to do something one day, and I'll be ready for it. But until next time, I hope you guys all enjoy. We are just trudging up that hill, man. We saw 80K go past, and then we're like, you know what? Let's go to 81. We're well on our way. So thanks to all of you guys who've been subscribing, leaving comments. Make sure to have that community function communication down below, all right? Engage with people. See their opinions. Leave your own. That is what this CS community is all about, especially here on this channel. Till next time, take care. We'll see you back here soon.